What if freedom wasn't the goal? What if the real cage wasn't made of iron bars, but of the promises you make just to survive? We tell ourselves stories about heroes and villains, about good and evil. But in a world where survival is the only law, those lines blur into a bloody, indistinct gray. Today, we're diving into a story about a woman who was given a terrible gift from her mother, the permission to do whatever it took to stay alive, without apology, without regret. But what happens when the price of that survival is the very soul you're fighting to save? And what happens when you meet a man who has already paid that price and lost everything? This is the world of Carissa Broadbent's Daughter of No Worlds, the first volume in the War of Lost Hearts trilogy, and it begins with two souls who find themselves suddenly, utterly alone. One is a young girl, Tisana, whose village is raided by slavers in the dead of night. She is a Vultan, a people blessed or cursed with magic, marked by their pale skin and hair. But Tisana is fragmented, her Vultan purity broken by patches of tan skin and one green eye, a flaw that makes her less valuable, disposable. In a moment of terrifying, desperate courage, 13-year-old Tisana steps forward and offers herself to the slavers, bartering for her own life, knowing it means leaving her mother and her people to a fate worse than death. Her mother's final words are not of love, but of command. You have everything you need to survive. And listen to me, use it, never look back, and never question stepping forward and saying, I deserve to live. This brutal permission becomes the core of her existence, the foundation upon which she will build her entire life. Across the sea, another soul is coming apart. A young man, a gifted magic wielder fighting in a brutal war, is given an impossible command by the woman he trusts most in the world. She is his commanding officer, and with the battle turning against them, she orders him to unleash a power he keeps locked away, a monstrous, destructive force he calls a slaughter, not a battle. He cannot kill these civilians, but she is his commander. She places a hand on his temple, and with her own magic, she prays open the door in his mind that he had slammed shut, nailed shut, bolted shut. He loses control, and as he is blinded by fire and fire and fire, he destroys an entire city. This single, devastating act of betrayal and loss will define the rest of his life, turning him into a ghost haunted by a power he can neither escape nor control. This book is the story of what happens when these two broken, surviving souls finally collide. Daughter of No Worlds is not just a fantasy novel. It is a profound, searing exploration of trauma, the cost of power, and the desperate, often ugly, fight for agency in a world designed to crush you. Its grand promise is to take you on a journey so emotionally raw and morally complex that it will force you to question everything you thought you knew about strength, sacrifice, and the true meaning of freedom. Our story truly begins 8 years after Tisana is sold into slavery. She now belongs to Summaries, a wealthy and powerful merchant lord. She is his prized possession, a beautiful dancer and a wielder of delicate, performative magic. Her life is a gilded cage. She has soft beds and beautiful clothes, but every moment is a performance, every smile a calculation. Her only goal, the singular obsession that has driven her for 8 long years, is to earn 1,000 gold coins, the impossible price Summaries set for her freedom. Tisana's philosophy is one of brutal self-creation. As she tells us, talent is optional. It can be substituted with long nights, bleeding feet, and obsessively memorized footwork. No one needs talent when you have brute force, and despite her willowy size, she has more brute force than anyone. Her magic is a tool for this purpose. She creates shimmering, translucent butterflies and illusions of blue fire to dazzle Summaries' wealthy guests, earning silver and gold coins one performance at a time. She has a unique ability to feel the emotions and desires of others, a gift she uses to manipulate her audience. To play the part of the flirtatious, enchanting slave girl, all while her mind is a fortress of cold calculation. Her only true confidant is Cyril, a kind-hearted bodyguard she convinced Summaries to buy years ago, a man who is her friend, her brother, the only person she trusts in this world of transactions. One night, during a lavish party, a young, newly rich merchant, eager to prove his status, gives her 5 gold coins for a single glass butterfly. 5 gold coins. It is a shocking, unprecedented amount, and with it, Tisana finally reaches her goal, 1,002 gold, the price of her freedom. But when she goes to Summaries the next day, her hope is shattered. He is not impressed, he is enraged. He had never intended for her to earn the money. He hisses the word whore at her, accusing her of selling her body, and in his fury, he reveals the true, ugly nature of his affection. He does not see her as a person, he sees her as a possession. And if he cannot possess her, he will destroy her. The scene that follows is brutal and unflinching. Summaries orders her to her knees and begins to whip her, lash after lash tearing her back apart. But even in the agony, Tisana refuses to break. She refuses. She thinks of her mother's final words, "Be something more, that bastard." A fire lights within her, and in a moment of sheer defiant will, she flips over to face him. "If you want to murder me," she spits, "you're going to look me in the eye as you do it." And in that moment, something inside her breaks open. She reaches out with her mind, not with the gentle tendrils she uses to read emotions, but with a raw, powerful force she never knew she possessed. She grabs hold of his mind, and in a moment of surreal amazement, she feels it perch within her grasp, fragile. He freezes, his eyes meeting hers, and for the first time, he looks afraid. That fear turns to rage, but before he can strike again, she yanks on the invisible thread connecting them as hard as she can. Summaries stumbles, falls, and dies. Tisana, bleeding and broken, has just killed the most powerful man in Threll. Her friend Cyril finds her there, and without a moment's hesitation, he helps her. He drives his own sword into Summaries' chest to obscure the true cause of death. He bandages her wounds. He helps her to the stables, where they lie to another friendly guard, Vaz, claiming Tisana has finally bought her freedom. But Cyril refuses to go with her. He knows that if they both run, they will be hunted. But if he stays behind, he can create a delay, a story. He can buy her time. It is a heart-wrenching goodbye, a sacrifice that brands itself onto Tisana's soul alongside her mother's. With nothing but a horse, a dagger, and a handful of gold, Tisana rides away from the only life she has known, leaving another person she loves behind to face the consequences. Her journey to the fabled island of Ara, home to the magical orders she has only read about, is a grueling testament to her will. Her horse dies. She travels on foot, fighting fever and infection from her wounds. She survives driven by a single mantra, a new identity she repeats like a prayer. "My name is Tisana. I am from Threll. I am friend of Zerith Aldris. I must speak to him." Zerith is a high-ranking member of the orders she met years ago at Summaries' estate, a full-blooded Valtine who promised to help her if she ever made it to Era. When she finally collapses at the gates of the Order of Midnight, it is his name she chokes out before succumbing to darkness. She awakens in a world of silver and white, in the heart of the power she has sought for so long. A kind healer named Will attends to her, but her true welcome comes from Nura, a beautiful, cold, and powerful Valtan, who makes it immediately clear that Tisana's fight is far from over. Nura reveals that Zerith is not here, he is, ironically, in Threll. And worse, news has already reached them of Summaries' murder and the ensuing turmoil. Nura sees Tisana not as a refugee, but as a political liability, a potential murderer they cannot risk harboring. Tisana is forced to fight with words and magic, to plead her case, to show them she is not just a runaway slave, but a valuable asset, a fragmented but powerful Valtine who deserves a place in their ranks. It is a letter from Zerith, praising her intelligence and potential, that finally sways Nura. But there is a problem. Apprenticeships for the orders were assigned 6 months ago. There are no teachers available, except Maxentarius Farlian. And here we meet the second of our two souls. Tisana is teleported by Nura to a sprawling, wild garden, and there she meets her new, court-mandated instructor. He is not a wise, dignified master. He is a cynical, bitter, and stunningly handsome recluse who wants absolutely nothing to do with her or the orders. He is a Solari, a wielder of fire and earth, not a Valtan. He is rude, dismissive, and makes it clear he is retired, and this is an outrageous imposition. He is, of course, the young man from the prologue, the man who destroyed a city, the man who has been hiding from the world and his own power for 8 years. Their relationship begins with outright hostility. Max tries to send her away. Tisana, with her unrelenting brute force, simply refuses to leave. She sits outside his locked door for hours until he finally, grudgingly, lets her in because he can't stand the thought of relinquishing his moral superiority by letting her freeze. His home is a cluttered, chaotic mess of trinkets and tools, and half-finished projects, a perfect reflection of his mind. Slowly, a tentative, fragile dynamic begins to form. Max is a terrible teacher because he doesn't want to teach. He resents her presence, he resents the orders, he resents himself. Yet, in their verbal sparring, in her refusal to be cowed, a flicker of something else emerges. The turning point comes when she confronts him, demanding to know why he hates her, why he hates the orders. In a torrent of pained frustration, she reveals her entire story, that she was a slave, that she killed to get here, that she left her most important people behind and needs the order's power to save them. And in that moment, seeing the raw truth of her struggle, something in Max cracks. It won't work, he tells her, his voice losing its bitter edge. He knows the orders. They are a flawed tool, run by flawed people. But he sees in her a reflection of a hope he thought was long dead. He sees her belief that the orders can still do something good, and he finds, to his own surprise, that he wants to believe it too. He finally agrees to train her, properly. Well, make sure that you knock their moon-obsessed robes off. He says, but when you do it, you need to be technically perfect. Their training is intense, a crucible that forges a deep, unspoken bond between them. Max pushes her to refine her magic, to move beyond performance and into true control. He teaches her that her mind is a web, and that she has more power than she knows. In one grueling, all-night session, she finally masters the task he set for her, creating a perfect replica of a flower, and collapses from exhaustion. In that moment, seeing her unconscious form, Max's carefully constructed walls begin to crumble. He realizes he is no longer just a reluctant teacher. He is invested in her success, in her survival. Their fragile peace is shattered by a trip to the capital. In the city, they witness a horrifying public execution ordered by the child Queen Cesare. Max, a celebrated war hero who despises his own fame, is recognized and publicly humiliated by the Queen. The event reveals the deep political instability of era and dredges up Max's own painful past. We learn that his entire family was killed in the war, a war that he is credited with ending at the city of Sarlazai, the very city he destroyed. The event also shows Tiziana the overwhelming nature of her empathic abilities in a large crowd, the cacophony of fear and anger nearly crippling her. Max, seeing her distress, begins to teach her how to shield herself, to filter the emotions of others like her mother once filtered muddy water. It's a moment of quiet intimacy that deepens their connection, a shared lesson in managing their respective inner demons. Their relationship is a slow, aching burn. They are two damaged people, both masters of building walls, who slowly, tentatively begin to let each other in. They find a strange comfort in their shared silences, in their mutual understanding of pain. One evening, after a particularly difficult day, Nura reveals the truth Tiziana has been seeking. She will be allowed to join a mission to take down a Threlian lord, and in exchange, the orders will help rescue her friend Cyril. But Nura offers a deal. There is a weapon, a form of raw, sentient magic called Riche. It is a terrifying, uncontrollable power that the orders used to end the last war. Their last host is no longer a willing participant. That host was Max. This revelation recontextualizes everything. Max's cynicism, his isolation, his hatred for the orders, it all stems from the trauma of wielding this weapon, of being used by it, of the destruction it wrought through him. Zareth and Nura are asking Tiziana to become the new host, to become the weapon that will win their coming civil war. Tiziana, desperate to save her people, agrees. But she is no one's fool. She demands a blood pact, an unbreakable magical contract, laying out her terms in painstaking detail. She will not only rescue Cyril and Vos, but Max will be released from all his obligations to the orders, his past pardoned. It is a staggering price, but Zareth, seeing the potential of a wielder like her controlling Riche, agrees. Tiziana sells herself back into a different kind of slavery, a 5-year contract, in exchange for the power to fulfill her promises. The pact is sealed in blood, and Riche, the ancient, hungry intelligence, is transferred into her. The pain is agonizing, and the last thing she hears as she loses consciousness is Max's voice, whispering home, 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 as if trying to call her back from the abyss. This is no longer just her fight, it is theirs. And they are both walking into a war, with a monster now living inside of her, a monster that knows and loves and hates Max and Terrius Farleone. So, what makes Daughter of No World so radically different from other epic fantasies? It's the unflinching psychological realism at its core. This is not a story about a prophesied hero destined for greatness. It's a story about a survivor. Tiziana is not the chosen one, she chooses herself, again and again, with bloody-minded determination. Carissa Broadbent has crafted a world where magic is not a whimsical gift, but a force deeply intertwined with trauma, power, and control. Tizana's abilities are not innate talents she effortlessly masters. They are extensions of the coping mechanisms she developed to survive slavery. Her skill at reading emotions comes from a lifetime of needing to anticipate the moods of dangerous men. Her brute force approach to magic is a reflection of her belief that willpower is the only thing she can truly own. The romance is another key differentiator. It is one of the most masterful slow burns you will ever read, built not on flirtatious banter or love at first sight, but on the tentative, aching foundation of shared pain and grudging respect. Max and Tizana don't fall in love with an idealized version of each other. They fall in love with the broken, scarred, and messy reality of who they are. They see the monster in each other and are not afraid. This book is for readers who crave depth and complexity in their fantasy. If you love the moral ambiguity and brutal consequences in R. Kwong's The Poppy War, or the character-driven grit of Joe Abercrombie's First Law series, you will find a home in these pages. It is for anyone who loves intricate world building and hard magic systems, but who believes that the true heart of a story lies in its characters. It is for the reader who understands that survival is not always pretty, that it leaves scars, and that true strength is not about the absence of fear, but about what you do in spite of it. However, this book is not for everyone. If you are looking for a lighthearted, fast-paced adventure, this is not it. Daughter of No Worlds is a heavy book. It deals directly with themes of slavery, sexual assault, and profound psychological trauma. It is an emotionally demanding read that does not shy away from the darkness. If you prefer your heroes to be unequivocally good and your morality clear-cut, you may struggle with the difficult choices these characters are forced to make. This is a story for those who are willing to walk through the fire with its characters and emerge, like them, changed on the other side. The single most valuable takeaway you will be left with is a profound understanding of the duality of power. The story asks us, what is the difference between a weapon and a wielder? It shows us that the very things that make us powerful, our pain, our anger, our will to survive, can become their own form of cage if we are not careful. It's a haunting lesson on the eternal struggle for control, not over the world, but over the warring forces within our own hearts. We started this journey by asking what happens when the price of survival is your very soul. Daughter of No Worlds doesn't offer a simple answer. Instead, it holds up a mirror to the darkness and the light that coexists within all of us, and it suggests that maybe, just maybe, the most courageous act of all is not to conquer the world, but to conquer the monsters within ourselves. This summary has only given you the map of this incredible world. To truly feel the weight of Tizana's choices, the heat of Mac's magic, and the slow, aching burn of their connection, you have to experience Carissa Broadbent's powerful prose for yourself. This isn't just a story you read, it's a world you inhabit, a pain you feel, and a hope you fight for. The journey is worth every single step. The link to Daughter of No Worlds is in the description below. Get your copy, and then come back and tell me how it changed you. And as always, if you're looking for stories that challenge, inspire, and stay with you long after the final page, make sure you're subscribed.